Welcome to the Money Script Podcast. It's your host, Yohance Harrison. So happy to be with each and every one of you today. I cannot go any further without taking a quick moment just to have a moment of just love and peace and understanding and support for everyone that was affected by the fires down in Hawaii. That is, I am wearing my Hawaiian shirt today, just to be to be with them at this time. I know they're still trying to find people and assess the damages, and I can't imagine what that's like. So just know that we're here for you. We love you all. And please, if you're able to give in any sort of way, there's lots of great organizations that are raising funds for those victims. Please support them. So with that, let's get into the podcast. By the way, thank you to all of my listeners in Hawaii. I know you're out there. I get the report. I'm like, oh, look, putting Hawaii on the map. I appreciate that. So keep listening. So with that, let's get into the podcast. For those of you that are watching us on YouTube, you can already see who my guest is. For those of you that are listening, my guest today is Dr. Fred E. Kency Jr., and we're going to talk about why he is here with me in a little bit. But first, as you know, we like to start with our current event. And I know I mentioned that the fires in Hawaii. Yes, that is something that's current that we're still dealing with right now. But let's talk about something that is a current event as it relates to money. And the headline just came across my phone this morning. And the headline was mortgage rates hit a 20-year high, 7.09%. Yeah. Woo. Welcome to the new normal, people. Okay.
I'm so glad I'm not buying a house right now.
But that's what I want to talk about. Thank you, Fred. That's what I want to talk about. Here's the thing. It's only shocking to us because we had years at 2 and 3%.
True.
But 7% is closer to our average if you look over the last 50 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And I want to say this to you right now. Look, my mortgage brokers out there, they know that I'm going to tell the truth. I'm going to tell it like it is. If anyone is telling you to buy a house and get it now because you can just refinance in a few years, red flag. We don't know what interest rates will be in a few years. We don't. They could be higher. If we go back to the 70s and 80s, we'll see interest rates were at 14, 15, 16, 17%. My parents were one of those. I've talked about this on the podcast before. My parents were paying in the teens for their house in 1983. Okay. But that was normal.
Yeah.
They were happy it wasn't, 18%. They were like, oh yeah, we'll take this 14. I think it was 14.75. I had the number written somewhere, but they were like, yeah, we'll take that because it was better than what it used to be. So again, everything is relative. Everything is relative. So no, do not go out and buy a house right now and just know that you'll be able to refinance because you don't know. We don't know when rates are going to come back down. Now they're speculating that they may drop next year, but that's speculation. We don't know. We don't know. So don't do anything thinking that you know because you don't. Okay. So that's the big topic right now. Of course, over the last couple of episodes, we talked a lot about student loans. If you haven't done it already and you have student loans, please go apply for your new repayment plan. Don't wait until September. Don't wait until October. Actually, by the time you're hearing this, it might be September. So don't wait. Go do it right now. Okay. And go ahead and just fit that into your new financial plan. You knew this day was coming and now it's here. But we're in a time with higher interest rates where we have to be very careful about the money that we borrow because the cost of borrowing is going up. So that's the current event. So let's get to our guest, Dr. Fred E. Kency Jr. He told me to leave off the MD part, but but he is an MD. I told him it was like Doogie Howser MD. I mean, he didn't say Doogie Howser without the MD, but he's a real doctor, not Doogie. Fred is. So Fred is a real doctor. He's an emergency room physician. He also specializes in medical cannabis certification. He is a third-generation U.S. veteran. Salute. Thank you for your service, sir, and to that of your father and grandfather, which is amazing. And he hails out of the great city of Jackson, Mississippi. I don't think I put enough S's in there, but that's how y'all say it, right? Mississippi. Y'all don't do that. You don't do the third and second S.
Mississippi.
Are you there? I thought it was just Mississippi.
It depends on how tired you are that day.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm tired. I'm saying Mississippi. So Fred, welcome to the Money Script Podcast. Thank you for joining us.
Highly appreciate you inviting me on.
Indeed. So let's start with just talking about emergency medicine, because a lot of our listeners are residents and or in medical school, or may already be attending physicians. So I'm just curious, what made you want to get into medicine and become an emergency doctor?
So I've actually wanted to be a physician my entire life. I have these conversations with people, or even talk to I got 3 kids, 2 boys, little girl. My middle child has named every career you can think of. He's wanted to be a lawyer, a doctor, a fireman, a policeman. He wanted to raise dogs, wanted to be a YouTuber at one time already. When I was coming up, I only wanted to be a doctor. That was the only profession I ever thought about. My mom would tell you when I was 5 years old, you say, what does he want to be? He's going to be a doctor. And she will say that I used to say that I'll be a doctor because when you ask somebody what is the smartest person, they're physicians. And so obviously I thought I was the smartest person in the room since I was in kindergarten. So I naturally said the smartest people are doctors. Well, I'm going to be a doctor. Whether it's true or not, that's always been what I wanted to be. And it's always been my lifelong dream to become a physician. How did I get to the ER portion of physician? So initially, when I was growing up, I actually, from the time I knew really what a doctor was until probably my first year of medical school, I thought I was going to do anesthesiology. So I wanted to, I was smart, but what you call smart lazy. Like you want the job that it took a lot to get there, but once you're there, you just kind of want to sit back and just kick it. So I thought that was the anesthesiology way. So, I'm going to get this job. I'm going to put this person to sleep. I'm going to let the surgeon do all their work. I'm going to sit over here about 2 or 3 hours on my phone. And then, when the surgeon say, wake him up, turn all the knobs off, and then we wake him up and we back to popping. And that I realized that wasn't what anesthesiology was. And it just wasn't my forte. I wasn't a huge fan of being in the operating room. I wasn't a huge fan of, taking direction from the surgeons all the time. I wasn't a huge fan of the cold operating room. It's freezing in that place. I mean, it's just all the time. And I was just like, this ain't really for me. So when I got to my 3rd year of medical school, when I knew anesthesiology wasn't going to be for me, I was kind of lost. I was like, I'd have paid all this money to get to medical school. I'd have took all these tests. I'd have studied all these books. And now I'm about to do a job and I don't even know what I want to do. So my first rotation in my 3rd year of medical school was neurology. Fell in love with inpatient neurology. We would get the code. We would get the little beeper, and then that mean like somebody's having an acute stroke. We'd run down to the ER, decide if we're going to give them this medication that could bust up the clot or not. We had patients in the hospital with these different neurological conditions. So I felt like I was House. I felt like I was the real life House. You got these crazy, bizarre medical conditions. Or his arm doesn't work, or his leg stopped working, or he's got this shooting pain down his left eye, or just all these crazy conditions. And it's us trying to figure out the why. Why is it happening to this person, and how can we fix it if we can fix it? So I left neurology, inpatient neurology, feeling really good about, I think I may do this neurology thing. And then I did outpatient neurology, and I was like, this ain't it. All my patients were, everybody had a migraine. Everybody had already seen 7 neurologists already. You were number 8, and they had this condition that they were trying to figure out. And I'm like, the first 7 didn't get you right. I'm not gonna be the guy. So it was a whole different world of medicine again. So once I left that, I was back on that kind of cloud of like, I know I want to be a doctor, but I just don't know what type. The next one I did was psychiatry. And so I did adult psychiatry first, it wasn't terrible, but they do a lot of writing and they spend a lot of time on each patient. And I'm just like, man, I was in that room for a whole hour. I need an hour to decompress off the 1 hour we took with the patient. And so I was just like, this ain't really gonna be for me. And I started kind of getting a little discouraged because, it was kind of, I'm like, I done gone through a couple of rotations and I'm still not finding anything that I just love. And my next rotation is going to be emergency medicine. I took it kind of early compared to what most students can do these days. Most students don't take emergency medicine as a rotation to their 4th year. And so unless you already have a passion for ER, it's kind of hard to develop a passion and then kind of apply for it. because you don't even get exposure to it until your fourth year. At that time, you're already looking at away rotations for, what you want to do when you, for residency. And so, luckily I was in a location where we did emergency medicine our third year. And I got there, all of the doctors were amazing. Every patient was different. One patient may be someone that you're putting on a vent because their lungs are just terrible. Another person may be a foot infection. The other person may be, suturing up an arm. The next person has a shoulder that's dislocated. So, I mean, you've done ortho, derm, you've done some plastic surgery. I mean, then you see a kid, now you're a pediatrician. I like the variety. There was never a boring day. I never knew what my day was going to look like before I stepped through that door. And to me, that was what I felt was going to keep me excited about medicine for a long time. And then what solidified it was that whenever I left that rotation, every rotation after that, I compared it to that rotation. Well, in emergency medicine, we did this. I did my ER rotation, we did it like this. I was like, man, I probably be the ER doctor. That's kind of all I talk about now. And so that kind of solidified it for me. I did an ER rotation at some different hospitals as fourth years. I did it in the Navy as a fourth year. And that kind of locked it up. And it's been nothing but emergency medicine ever since. And I absolutely love what I do. There are days where it's kind of tough, mentally draining, physically draining. We do 12-hour shifts at the shop that I work at. But I couldn't imagine doing anything else. I love what I do. I love the patients that we serve. We take care of every single person that walks through the door, insurance, no insurance, black, white, yellow, every person that comes in with a problem that I can fix, I'm dedicated to fixing that problem. So that's emergency medicine in a nutshell.
I love how you fell in love with the diversification of the job and just the diversity that was there and what you got to show up for and the different walks of life and problems that you got to solve. I'm curious while we're talking about diversity, and you mentioned the diverseness of your population of the people you serve. How has it been? I mean, I know that's only your experience, but how has it been being a Black doctor?
From the standpoint of the patients, they absolutely love it. I mean, when I walk in the room, especially I see my African American patients, I mean, their eyes light up. They're like, "You're the doctor?" I get that question at least 3 times a shift. "You're my doctor?" Not just you're a doctor, you're my doctor.
You're my doctor.
And then you kind of get that blink of like, that's amazing. Especially my older patients. The older ladies in their 70s and 80s, and they're always, even the men as well. But the ladies are typically like the ones. They're in their 70s and 80s, and they see you come in the room. They're like, you tell them like you're the doctor, and they're like, their eyes get huge, and they're just so excited. And I'm happy to make them happy. So it's a blessing to be a blessing, as I tell people all the time. From a colleague standpoint, other people who are ER physicians, we have a really good community. At my shop, we have 9 physicians, and 2 of us are African American. So we have some really good diversity, and in our shop, we definitely care about diversity. We have females, we have males, we have African Americans, we have obviously Caucasian. In the era of emergency medicine all around the United States, we don't have enough. Honestly, we don't, especially in areas of where people look like us. Because I'll tell you, when I remember reading this article about why diversity is important. And it talked about this patient who had been telling her doctor that that something was going on, and she was kind of using some slang when she said it. And the entire time, the physician wasn't understanding what the patient was saying, not because she was using some foreign language, it was because she was using just a natural slang from her normal terminology. And they were almost about to get this young lady a psych eval because they were like, she's just talking crazy like this. We don't understand what she's talking about. And then the Black physician walks in, and he's on the rotation. He's a new attending of the week. And he comes in, he says, "No, she's just, asking for something. She's just telling you that she feels stressed, but not to the point where she wants to kill herself." So just that language barrier in that diverse, that lack of diverse population that they had at the time, you know, the way you treat people, the way you see people, the way you take care of people can be very different if you don't understand the lingo of just the person who is sitting across from you. If you can't understand, like, one of the most important parts of being a physician is being able to take a history. If I can't understand what the patient is giving to me, and one of my, you know, one thing I hate to put in a chart is that the patient is a poor historian. One thing I hate to see a resident when I'm teaching residents or teaching other people is using the word poor historian, because it is our duty as physicians to do whatever it takes to get the information for someone who can speak English and you understand that same language, and someone who can, if they can speak, you know, not all of our patients can, you know, patients with stroke, patients with altered mental status, but if they can speak and they walk into the emergency room with a problem, it is your job to figure out why they're here and to do your best possible work to get that information relayed over to you so that you can take best care of the patient. And so when a resident comes back and says, oh, he's just a poor historian, I was like, well, you were only in the room for 1 minute. How would you know? Like, you I mean, you weren't in there long enough to really, you know, tease through the history. I went, let's go back in there and let's talk to the person. And if you just take your time with the patient, break it down. Hey, what brings you in today? Oh, my chest is hurting. Okay, can you take one finger and point to where it hurts the worst? And they point to the top of their stomach. So his chest isn't hurting. He's not even though he came in with the word chest pain, he doesn't have chest pain. He's got pancreatitis. And if you only did labs for chest pain, you only got a chest X-ray, you only did the labs for a chest workup, you're going to miss the fact that this man has a rip-roaring pancreatitis because you didn't focus in and try to get him to help you. You know, yes, he's a poor historian. He told you his chest hurt. In reality, it was like the lowest portion of his chest. Why did he just say the top of my stomach? Who knows? You know, patients aren't always the best historian. But you have to really care about getting to the end of the answer, and so unless you're doing that, you're gonna miss a lot of things. You're gonna do your patients injustice. But the diversity of your patient population, diversity of your patient, your physician, will help that a lot. Because if you have patients who look like you, who speak like you, who are from areas that you are from, you're more likely to build that rapport. You're more likely to just have that kind of relationship, understand the lingo, and you're more likely to get to the bottom of the problems. And so patients have better outcomes when we as physicians can actually do what needs to be done.
Beautifully said. And I have to share that there's a lot of similarities in being a professional financial advisor as an African-American. In our profession, if we look across the United States, we are very underrepresented, and we're doing a lot better today. I've been in the career for 20 plus years now, so it's a lot better today than it was 20 years ago. But still, if you're looking at demographics of, okay, well, what is the composition of the United States? We are still way behind on that. And in very similar, just like I'm sure you deal with all the time in the age of social media and the internet, is that a lot of people will try to go and solve their problems online before they, you know, go to seek a professional help. And I get clients like that all the time. Yeah, Dr. Google, and you know, they do the same thing with finance. Like, well, TikTok said I should do this, and this. I'm like, TikTok does not know you. TikTok doesn't know your history. TikTok doesn't know, you know, what you've already done. I just had a client recently. It's like, oh, I read that I can do, you know, I can make this sort of contribution to my 401k. I can do it this way. I'm like, TikTok doesn't know you already contributed to your 401k at your previous job. Yeah, but this is a new job. Yeah, TikTok doesn't know that. You can only put X amount across all plans per year.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that was the old job. Doesn't matter. It was a 401k. So you can only do another $3,000. Let it go. But TikTok. Yeah. Okay, well, look, who would you hire as your financial advisor, me or TikTok? But like you said, and I find this in financial services as well. And since it is, I know we're talking about medicine, but this is a financial services podcast. So I encourage people, as you're listening to this, if you're not a doctor, but you came here looking, okay, to get some additional financial knowledge and financial literacy, everything that Fred was saying about the relationship you have with your doctor, that is a similar relationship that you need with someone that's going to help you with your finances. They need to know your history. I like to describe it as a GPS system. If I don't know where you are and where you've been, I can't tell you where you're going to go. I can't. Now, can I tell you all the different routes that are available? Yeah, there's the 401k, there's the Roth, there's the index fund, there's there's a laundry list of ways that you can get to your end point, but which one is attributable to you? As Fred said, use your finger and show me where the pain is. And we have to do the same thing in financial services. Let's look and find out where is the real financial pain. Okay. Because financial pain sometimes like, I can't, I don't have enough money to save for whatever goal it may be. It's just not enough. I'll never be able to do it. Well, the real financial pain is the interest that you're paying on your credit cards. The real financial pain is the $5 a month you pay for your bank account. Why are you paying? Why are you giving your bank $5 a month to have access to your own money? Go to a different bank. Oh, but I really like, name the bank. I'm not going to throw any of them to the bus. Yeah, but they really don't like you because they charge you $5 just to give you access to your own money. Find a new banking relationship. So some of the same processes that you'll use when trying to help find out, with your doctor, how to better your health, how to take better care of yourself, or to fix whatever's ailing you. You got to be a good historian. And the same thing is true in finance. You got to know what have you done already? What are you working through? Where are you right now? Where does it hurt? And what do you want? Okay. What do you want on the other side? And it's sometimes it's more than just being out of pain. Like, okay, yeah, let's get out of pain. But then what do you want after that? You don't want to be in pain ever again. Okay. How do we get there? So, man, you get me on this soapbox here. You get me excited. So, so Fred, we also mentioned earlier that you you got into the medical cannabis business. Being someone that lived in California, I'm very familiar with the process. Knew quite a few docs that were making some real coin being able to do that too, which was good for them in that heyday. But just out of curiosity, why did you decide to get into the more recently legalized drug game in these United States?
So, a couple of different reasons. One is that in the military, I saw a lot of people who suffered from PTSD, a lot of people that suffer from anxiety, a lot of people that suffer from depression. It's a rampant thing in the military. It's a rampant thing all over the world, but especially in the high stress of the military when it comes to deployments, leaving home, leaving wives by themselves, leaving wives with kids, the rapid tempo of deployments, war. War destroys. War is a horrible thing for the psyche, horrible thing for the brain, especially when you're exposing these 18 and 19 and 20-year-old kids to something. One day you're at the beach with friends, hanging out by a bonfire. A year later, you're in Afghanistan, Iraq, and you're shooting at people across the street from you because your country told you to. That does a crazy thing on your psyche. And then to go from shooting those bullets across the street to coming home and saying, "Don't shoot anybody," turn that off. How do you turn that off? We had a lot of our service members once they got out that used to, when they were in, they were on medications like Zoloft and Zyprexa and different antipsychotics or different, not antipsychotics, antidepressants. I'm sorry, Zoloft and Paxil and Prozac and all these different medications to try to, help them with their anxiety, help them with their mood, help them with their depression. And when they got out of the military, a lot of them would confide in me and like, "Oh, I got off all that medication. Now I just do cannabis, and I do really well. It helps me with my PTSD. It helps me with my sleeping. I don't have those dreams anymore of, thinking that somebody's gonna bomb us at nighttime. I don't have those dreams of thinking someone's gonna kick in our door and shoot us. Now I can just sleep, and and it's natural, and enough of those conversations, and I'm like, you know what? Like, we should be pushing this more for people who have these kind of problems, instead of putting on these medications like Prozac and Paxil and Zoloft, things that are truly mind altering, things that have that affect your serotonin levels and affect all these different chemical imbalances in the brain. We have this natural plant that we can, and you don't have to smoke it. You have, that's kind of one of the things that gets a lot of people, is that they get caught up in the idea that, oh, they're just smoking reefer. Well, you don't have to smoke cannabis. I mean, there's a lot of certifiers here in our area that don't even do the flower. They don't even allow flower in their process. They tell patients, like, we do medical certifications, but you can't have flower. We have tincture, those little drops of oil that you can place in your coffee, your orange juice, your whatever you want to. We have gummies, we have vaping carts, we have lotions, we have creams, we have ointments. I mean, we have so many options to use the actual medicine of THC without actually ever having to smell the burning of flower. And so when you start to actually educate other physicians, I'm not talking about patients, I'm talking about just other physicians, um, that we have all these options. They're like, oh, I didn't even know we could do that, because you haven't, your brain was closed off to the idea when you heard the word weed, when you heard the word cannabis, when you heard the word THC, you'd already had a negative connotation associated with it. You didn't allow your brain to think that there is true medicine behind this. People with horrible inflammatory conditions get amazing pain relief when it comes
Oh
to
yeah.
use of cannabis.
Yep, my
Yeah.
mother-in-law is one of them. She has RA,
Mm-hmm,
rheumatoid arthritis. She's had
mm-hmm.
double knee replacements. And she swears by her. She
Oh.
has these malt balls that she just loves. And she's like, this is the only way
Mm-hmm,
I can get some sleep. Otherwise, she's tossing and turning in pain all night
mm-hmm.
and can't sleep. So she
Yeah.
has her little malt ball as dessert, and she next morning she was like, "Oh, I didn't hear anything have. I was asleep." I'm like, and
Yeah.
that's the other thing. She's had so many other medications that have
Mm-hmm,
these laundry lists of side effects. And she's
mm-hmm,
like, "Oh, I can't take that one because it messes with this one, and I can't take that one and mess with this one. And if I take this one, then I'm just, I am not going to have an appetite." And it just on and
mm-hmm,
on. So she's been working on weaning herself off of some of those other harder drugs. Actually,
mm-hmm.
she had what's the drug where you need the what's it called, the where in case she overdoses, I can give her another
Yeah,
drug.
the opioids like oxycodone,
Oxycodone, yeah. And
norco,
what's the
mm-hmm.
Zocam, something Cam is the other one. Narcan.
Narcan, uh-huh,
Narcan. There it is.
Narcan, correct.
So she gives me this Narcan. She's like, if you ever just see me passed out, use this. And I'm like,
Yeah,
what?
it's
I'm like,
real.
are you
I keep
taking
one in
stuff
my
that's
truck.
yeah, she was like, I was like, are you taking stuff that's hard? She was like, yeah, but but she's over time, she's been able to help reduce
The
her need
amount.
on those because
That's
she's
perfect.
using THC ointments and what's not
Mm-hmm,
CBD ointments and
mm-hmm,
THC to help with her mood. So yeah, no, I'm very well aware. I'm very well aware, and I'm glad that you are a fan because my mother was depressed for years,
mm-hmm,
and because she dealt with some disabilities, and it led to some depression just because of her lack of ability to live the life that she wanted to. Um,
mm-hmm,
and she had seizures, so they also altered her brain. And one of the best things that we were able to do was like, Mom, we just need you to start taking some cannabis. And it
mm-hmm,
bring her out to California. And because her big problem was, I don't want to smoke. She just didn't want to smoke. And I'm like, she lived in North Carolina. I'm like, Mom, come to
mm-hmm.
California. You don't have to smoke. Man, when she
There's so
found,
many options.
oh,
So many options.
changed her life when she was
Mm-hmm.
able to get her hands on those gummies. Yeah, and so then it became, I had to break a few laws and, send her some gummies. I didn't get caught, so no laws broken, right? But even if I
Yeah,
did, you know what? Here's what's funny about that, Fred, is that was the risk I was willing to take. I was like, I
yeah.
dare them to come knock on my door and say, "Hey, you were shipping these cannabis products to your mother in North Carolina." I'm like, you come up with a
Excuse
better
me
idea.
for improving her quality of
Yeah,
life.
like I will go down if that's what I go down for. Fine, I'll take it. I'll take it. So no, that's
Guilty
amazing.
for improving the quality of life of my mom. Thank you. I'll take
Yeah,
that charge,
I'll
Judge.
take that charge. I was like, I will cross that bridge when we get to it. I will.
Yeah. So after after I learned that multiple members were experimenting with THC in the different forms, honey, whether it be tinctures, drops in their tea in the morning. I mean, so many different things they were using. I was like, man, I got to figure out how I can get more people into this and off of opioids, off of
Mm,
benzos, off of the Zoloft, off of all these zombie medications that we've been prescribing for all this time. And so, at the perfect timing, medical marijuana for Mississippi came into light, and it's kind of just been it's been on and popping since then, I guess you would say. So we actually passed our law for medical cannabis here in Mississippi in January of 2022. 6 months later, the program was essentially open. At that time, manufacturers or cultivators had to start growing their product. And then February of 2023 is when the actual dispensaries opened. So we've been dispensaries open selling cannabis now in Mississippi for about 7 months. So it's been pretty good. It's been it's been an interesting ride. We've stood up a program and put it into working existence faster than most states have done in the past, which some patients will still tell you that it's moving too slow. But we've done it a lot faster than other programs, and so we've done a good job, and we're pretty excited about it.
So on all of our episodes, Fred, we'd like to ask our clients one simple question. And that question is, what is your first memory of money?
First memory of money. My money in my hand. Kind of a couple memories, I guess I would say. So the first memory of being given money, I remember my grandmother, who was my mom's mom, used to, when she would get her check cashed, her monthly third of the month check cash, she would give us like $2 at a time. Like, here you go. Like, I've made it to the big leagues. My first money made from me actually working came from, I used to cut grass, and you wouldn't imagine cutting grass now. Mississippi heat right now, we got a heat index into the 107. It's ridiculous. The humidity out there is crazy. Like, I walk outside to my truck and I'm like, I used to cut grass in this heat. I mean, like, oh, dang, how did I do it? I have no idea. So that's, first time somebody gave me money, first time I actually got paid from actually work I did. The first time I actually got a real paycheck, when I got my first check from being an attending physician. That check came actually with a bonus on it because I signed a multi-year contract. So I felt like I was in the NBA or the NFL. Like, when I got that check, I was like, whoa, like, I'm going to be getting this for the rest of my life. Obviously, I didn't get that for the rest of my life because I had the bonus check on there with it. But I mean, you ought to saw my eyes when I saw that check, and I was like, holy moly, like, this is more money in one check for working 1 month than my mom made in 2 years. So that was a different feeling. That's when I felt like, oh my, I think I might have made it. I think I might have made it. This is money.
Yes.
So when you see people, taking these exotic trips and stuff, it's like, I can do that now. I could probably go to some of those places that, I've seen on TV all my life. And not just me, but my mom too. Wherever I go, she pretty much goes with us. So she's our third companion. She travels with us a lot. So we're going on a cruise here in December, and she's pretty excited about it.
Awesome. That's one thing. I have not done a cruise yet. There's something about being out in the middle of the ocean that it still doesn't sit right with me. I don't know.
So
not that a plane is any different.
Yeah.
I love going to the beach. I love the water, but it's just,
I'm the opposite. I'm not a huge beach person. Like, honestly, I hate the beach. I go because my kids love it. They love the beach. I hate the beach. Like, I'm not a fan of being at anybody's beach. It's sand. It gets in all of your stuff, and then it gets in your car when you get back to the. It gets in the house, and you track it all over the place. Like, I'm not a beach person. But when you're on that boat, especially in the Caribbean, that blue water being churned by those huge rotors, and you see that big old trail of that blue-white kind of mixture of aqua out there in the back of the boat. I mean, it at nighttime, the lights off the boats just splashing into the water. I mean, like, I just love the smell of the water. I like the look of the water. I like just being out there with a cigar on the balcony, just kind of just enjoying life. But I don't want to be on anybody's beach, like, unless my kids drag me there once a year, and so I do the the dad thing, and like, all right, let's go to the beach. But I'm not a fan of going to anybody's beach. But you put me on a ship, I'm ready to roll.
Got it. Awesome. I'll keep that in mind, because my wife keeps trying to get me to do it, and I just haven't done it yet. All right, so let's get this wrapped up, Fred. Again, we appreciate you joining us on the Money Script podcast. If anyone is interested in learning more about your services or what you do, or especially for all of our veterans out there that want to learn more about medical cannabis, what are some resources for them?
You can always email us. I'm open to answering emails. I answer them all the time from especially veterans all over the world, all over the states. Kencymedicalservices.com is our website. Kencymedicalservices@gmail.com is our email address. We love answering questions. Go on our site. It talks about different things with VA and association with THC and PTSD. And if you live in the state of Mississippi, we can get you signed up to be a medical cannabis patient in our state. The approval takes less than a day. We can log into your MyVet, your MyChart, any kind of your electronic medical record through your hospital. We can get your medical records pretty easily. You have to have a certain qualifying condition as stated by the Mississippi state law. But if you have a qualifying condition for veterans, chronic pain and PTSD are probably our two most common ones. We can get you squared away pretty easily.
Awesome. And we'll make sure to put some links to that into our show notes. So just a quick recap for everyone today. Remember, we can't control interest rates. They are what they are. And if you're in the house purchasing process right now, if it makes sense for you financially, then do it. But don't just do it because you think that your home is going to appreciate in the next year or two, or that interest rates are going to go down the next year or two, because we don't know. We don't know what they're going to do. Actually, for the first time in a long time, I pulled up, I was working with a client. I was refreshing all the values of everything. And I saw that her home price went down. I haven't seen that happen in years, but it went down. Just happens to be her location, her area. That's she's like, yeah, I've kind of noticed that on some of the houses that are for sale, the prices are coming down. So, and that's going to happen in some areas. And that's just part of, owning a home. So don't get too caught up in that. Of course, as we mentioned before, if you owe money to anyone, or any entity, that is any bank or financial institution, just know interest rates are going up. You need to be paying closer attention to that interest rate, because that can eat away at money that you could be putting in other places. So definitely keep an eye on that. And for all of our future doctors out there, especially those that are of a minority, please, the industry needs you. Okay. We all, a lot of us, I won't say we all, but there are a lot of us that feel more comfortable when we're able to meet eye to eye that someone that looks like us and may have had that experience. And as I promised, if you're watching this on YouTube, I said the camera might go out. The camera went out. It's been a very interesting day. The camera's off. My internet's going crazy, but you still got my voice here. So until next time, we'll see you on the Money Script podcast. Don't forget to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend. And thank you for all the people who've given us some great reviews on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Keep them coming. We appreciate you, because that just helps spread the word. Fred, I will see you in Philadelphia for ASAP.
Sure will. Thank you, brother. Have a good one.
Thanks. You too.
Thanks for joining us on the Money Script podcast. Be sure to check out our other episodes, subscribe, follow, and give us 5 stars. Continue to send your financial questions on Twitter or Instagram at the Money Script. Go to moneyscriptwealth.com and schedule your complimentary consultation to discuss your specific goals and concerns. Financial advisory and investment management services are offered by Money Script Wealth Management PLLC, a registered investment advisory firm registered in the state of Texas and California and other states where exempt. The Money Script LLC and the Money Script Wealth Management PLLC and guests of the episode may have interest in the investments mentioned today. The opinions and views are expressed here are for informational purposes only. This material is educational in nature and should not be deemed as a solicitation for any specific product or service. All investments involve risk and a significant loss of principal. The Money Script nor Money Script Wealth Management offer tax or legal advice. Please consult your tax advisor or attorney for specific advice about your situation. Until next time.